Well, good morning, everyone. Nice to see all of you this morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ralph Honda, and I will be chairing the first half of the service today. We have a nice, intimate setting today. And if you're wondering where all the Dharma School children are, well, they had their service and Halloween party last night. So all the children were here dressed up in their costumes. Halloween seems to be a little bit different than when I was growing up. I didn't see any ghosts or goblins or witches or anything like, last night. So they were, but they were all the children were dressed up in their cute Halloween outfits and had the service here in the Hondo, and then afterwards they had a dinner and played games last night. So it was a good time. I'm sure they're all tired and their parents are pooped out as well. We will begin this morning's service with silent meditation led by Smitty Sensei, and then chanting a sutra Jusege on page 35.
Gasho, the light of compassion that grasps us, illumines, and protects us always. The darkness of our ignorance is already broken through. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Okay, we're going to do something a little different and unorthodox today. We're going to switch up so that I'm not going to lead you in chanting Jusege. It will actually be our minister's assistant, Arturo Rubio. This is sort of his on-the-job training this morning. So if you'll bear with us just a second while he and I switch seats, and he will be leading us in chanting today.
Gago chosegan hishimu jodo shigan fumanzo seifu joshogan gao muryoko fui daiseshu Fusai shobingu, seifu joshogan, gashi jobudundo, myosho chojipo, kukyo mishomon, seifu joshogan, Iyokujin shonen, joe shubongyo, shigu mujodo, isho tenin shi, jinriki endaiko, fusho musaido, Shoujo san kumyo, kosai shuyakunan, Gai chi egen, meshi kon moan, hei soku sho akudo, zudazu zen shumon, koso jo manzo, iyoro jipo, Nichigatsu shujuki, tenko on pugen, ishu kai hozo, kose kudoku ho, jodai shuchu, seppo shishiku, Kuyo isai boots, kusoku shutoku hon, gane shizu joman, toku isan gayo, nyobutsu mugechi, tsudazumi fusho, Gangaku erik, toshi saisho son, shiganya koka, daise no kando, koku shotenin, to chin myoke namandabu 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 Namandabu, 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 Ganishiku doku, Byodo seisai, Dohon bodaishin, Ojo andrako. Gasho, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandabs, 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 Namandabs.
Thank you. Will everyone please rise for the recitation of the gratitude for Jodo Shinshu teaching. It is the insert that can be found inside the service book. Gratitude for Jodo Shinshu teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Entrusting himself to me, I will liberate you just as you are. This is the calling voice of Amida. My blind passions are embraced in the Buddha's awakening. So the Buddha's call to me, I will liberate you just as you are. Gratefully responding to the Buddha's call, I find that I am on the path that leads to the pearl. And the Nembutsu flows freely from my heart. Living the Dharma, my guide, softens my rigid heart and mind. Gratitude for the gift of life I have received frees me from greed and anger and allows me to share a smile and speak gentle words. Sharing in the joy and sadness of others, I shall strive to live each day to its fullest. Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amitabs. Namo Amitabs. Namo Amitabs. Namo Amitabs. Namo Amitabs. You may be seated. At this time, we will have a Dharma message from Smitty Sensei.
Oh, and just for trick and treat today, I'll ask Arturo to come up and give my Dharma message for me. You see the look on his face? Okay. No, I won't do that. But good morning, everybody. And as Ralph pointed out, you might notice that our little ghosts and goblins, although they weren't dressed as such yesterday, princesses and superheroes aren't here this morning. Got a couple little ones here, but it's because Dharma School had their own service yesterday evening, thanks to Laverne Sensei, and then they carried on with their spectacular Halloween party. So without them, most of them today, we'll go ahead and talk about some really scary things this morning. But first, please join me in Gasho. I am in reality a foolish being of birth and death, possessed of deep and heavy karmic evil, transmigrating in the 6 courses. The suffering is beyond words. Now, encountering a true teacher, I have been able to hear the name that embodies Amida's primal vow. The Buddha instructs me to say the Nembutsu single-heartedly and aspire for birth. May the Buddha's compassion, never abandoning the universal primal vow, grasp me always. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda. Well, the passage I just shared with you is from Shinran Shonen's Kyogyo Shinsho and the chapter on true practice, and he's quoting their master Shantao. And essentially, Shantao is confessing that he's a foolish, evil being suffering in this realm. But having encountered a teacher and Amida Buddha's primal vow, he's embraced always by wisdom and compassion. So Shantao doesn't blame his suffering on some external evil being or entity. He recognizes that it's his own evil that causes it. It's kind of a strong word, evil, sometimes, but if you'll bear with me as we go through this, maybe you'll understand a little better. And what does this have to do with Halloween? Well, I don't know about most of you, but it's, as Rolf said, it's been quite a while since I've dressed up in costume to go out Halloweening at a bar or a friend's party, and even longer since I've celebrated by trick-or-treating throughout the neighborhood to collect candy and other treats. Just a few years, I think. Now I tend to observe Halloween by watching horror movies throughout the month of October. And I enjoy the classics, like 1931's monster movie Frankenstein, with Boris Karloff as the monster. The quintessential vampire movie Dracula, also from 1931, this time starring this time with Bela Lugosi as the Count. And then 1932's The Mummy, also with Boris Karloff, although as the monster this time, he's cloth-wrapped. So one of my favorites is the groundbreaking zombie classic, although they never actually used the word zombie in the film, Night of the Living Dead from 1968. But part of that is sort of nostalgic value for me, because it was filmed in the Pittsburgh area where I grew up, and it brings back many memories from my younger days. Not of zombies, just of the Western Pennsylvania settings from the 1960s. And I also enjoy watching more modern horror movies, many of which add a little twist of humor along with the horror. Those films include things like The Mummy, The Mummy Returns, and The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, all starring Brendan Fraser as the adventurer and mummy fighter. And of course, zombies wreak havoc in Zombieland, World War Z, and Zombieland Double Tap, just to name a few. And they all depict various interpretations of the zombie apocalypse, some with more humor than probably horror to them. But the other night, I watched the supernatural horror film The Nun from 2018. And in case you haven't watched it, I'll try to explain the story to you with some help from Wikipedia. Also, spoiler alert, I'm about to reveal major plot elements, so if you were planning on watching it, cover your ears or go ahead and leave. I don't mind if you walk out on me. So, in Romania in 1952, 2 nuns living at St. Cartha's Monastery are attacked by an unseen evil force. And the surviving nun, Sister Victoria, flees from the attacker, a demon who appears as a nun, and she hangs herself. And her body is discovered by Frenchie, a villager who transports supplies to the nuns. And the Vatican sends Father Burke and Sister Irene, and Sister Irene is a novitiate or a nun who hasn't taken her final vows yet, to Romania to investigate this incident. And the pair meets with Frenchie, the delivery guy, and they discover Sister Victoria's body, and they take this key from her corpse. Then inside the abbey, the priest and the novice nun meet the abbess, or the head nun, who informs them that the nuns observe silence during the night, so they need to return the next day. And that night, Father Burke is amazingly rescued by Sister Irene after he's been buried alive in the graveyard by this demonic entity. And the next day, Sister Irene and Father Burke return to the abbey, but only Sister Irene can enter because it's cloistered at the time. So she meets the other nuns and learns that they're praying constantly, swapping in shifts to keep this evil entity at bay. And the abbey was built in the Dark Ages as a castle for the Duke of St. Carta, a very powerful aristocrat who was obsessed with the occult. And the Duke summoned the evil demon through a rift in the catacombs, but was killed by Christian knights who sealed the rift with a vial filled with the blood of Christ. However, the bombings that occurred during World War II reopened this rift, and they unleashed the evil entity once more. So Father Burke identifies the demon as Valak and discovers that the abbess has been actually dead all this time. So Sister Irene is attacked by Valak and joins the nuns in prayer to ward off this demon. And when she reunites with Father Burke and the delivery guy, Frenchie, she discovers that none of the nuns she had seen and talked to were actually real. She was really praying alone the whole night. And Sister Victoria had, in fact, been the last nun in the abbey, and she had sacrificed herself to stop the demon Valak from possessing her body. So theorizing that Valak can only be stopped if they seal the rift again with the blood of Christ that's in the recreary, the same way the knights did it, this trio retrieves that vial by using Sister Victoria's key. That's why the key was important. And Sister Irene asks Father Burke to elevate her status to a professed nun, so she takes her full vows to join the order, which he does. And in the tunnel, she's possessed by Valak, but Frenchie smashed the blood of Christ onto her face, casting out the demon. And Valak then starts to drown her in a flooded chamber of the catacombs. Sister Irene, who has kept some of that blood of Christ from the vial in her mouth, spits it onto the demon's face, banishing it into the rift, and it's sealed. And Frenchie resuscitates Sister Irene and reveals that his real name is Maurice, not sure why. Unbeknownst to the others, during the attack, Maurice, also known as Frenchie, was then possessed by Valak, thus setting up the sequel, The Nun 2, which was released this year. Ooh. The big takeaways I got from the movie were that it wasn't really well written because of these inconsistencies in the story, and it relied way too much, at least I felt, on physical or mechanical scares rather than psychological terror. But as a Buddhist viewer, I also noticed that, like many other horror films, one, evil is depicted as an external force that possesses us and causes us to do really bad things, and two, holy objects and actions like the blood of Christ and prayers can counter this external evil and drive it from our bodies and our lives. In fact, when this movie was first released, Sister Rose Picate of the Daughters of St. Paul reviewed the film for the National Catholic Reporter. And it's kind of like our Wheel of Dharma thing. She confirmed that there are two Catholic theological aspects of this film that are very accurate. And one is that the devil exists, and the other is that through prayer, Mary, the mother of Jesus, will show us the way. But those aspects of the film aren't part of Jodo Shinshu doctrine. We don't recognize the devil as a literal entity, and we don't engage in petitionary prayer or asking deities to intercede on our behalf. And I find many horror movies rely upon religious objects to thwart these external evil entities. So in addition to using things like garlic, silver bullets, wooden stakes, cinematic monster hunters rely on holy water, crucifixes, and shouted prayers to rid this world of evil beings. But Shan Dao recognizes that ignorance and evil weren't separate from him, they were a part of him. The real horror story isn't coming across some creepy old convent with a demon running rampant. It's realizing that we're the evil beings ourselves. And I don't mean that in a fire and brimstone, you're going to hell sermon kind of way, trying to scare each of you into being good or coming to temple every Sunday, although it'd be really nice if you came to temple every Sunday. It's that we each are tempted by and succumb to the poisons of greed and hatred and ignorance. And our unenlightened human nature is to act with greed and anger and hatred and selfishness. We tend to judge and discriminate, dividing ourselves into those we agree with and those we don't agree with, and we insist that our views are right while others' views are wrong. And world events, and you might have been watching several of them going on throughout the previous couple of weeks, they cause us to feel anxious or depressed or fearful or distressed. And we react with ignorance because of those emotions, and we sometimes respond with anger or hatred or hostility, and sometimes even violence. But as I said, that's the real horror story. Realizing that these evils aren't some scary demon or menacing monster hiding in the dark, but they're part of who we are. Yet there's so much more good in each of us than evil. And fortunately, it doesn't take an exorcist to splash us with holy water and shout at us in prayer. Perhaps you recall the scenes, the head-spinning kind of scenes from the 1973 movie The Exorcist, where that does indeed happen. So we're fortunate to have already encountered Amida Buddha's primal vow and are grasped by wisdom and compassion of Amida, just as we are. I'm not saying it's okay to go out there and be your complete evil self, even on Halloween, but recognize where evil comes from and know that it has already been countered by the incomparable light and infinite life that is Amida Buddha. So please join me once again in Gasho. I am in reality a foolish being of birth and death, possessed of deep and heavy karmic evil and transmigrating in the 6 courses. The suffering is beyond words. Now, encountering a true teacher, I have been able to hear the name that embodies Amida's primal vow. The Buddha instructs me to say the Nembutsu single-heartedly and aspire for birth. May the Buddha's compassion, never abandoning the universal primal vow, grasp me always. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda.
Thank you, Smitty Sensei, for your Dharma message. Please rise as we now sing the Gatha, Ondok-san 2, which can be found on page 128. And will be accompanied by Trishia.
Yasho, Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Mirabutsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. You may be seated.
Thank you. And now it's the time that you have all awaited, besides to listen to the Dharma message, announcements. So do we have any announcements today? Here comes one.
Good morning. I was asked to remind folks that there's going to be a seminar. It's a free member seminar, which is Saturday after next, so November 11th, from 3 to 4:30, and it's live at the temple, or you can join it online. Before I forget, there are several of these handouts in the back there on the entry table, and there's probably one for everybody since we don't have that many people here today. This actually costs money for people who are not members. It's $25. It's free to members. So if you're not a member, join. You'll save $25. Anyway, this covers the history, theory, and the central practice of Shin Buddhism and this tradition. And it's going to feature Reverend Gregory Gibbs, who's our supervising minister, Reverend Laverne Imori, here right now, and Bill Teague, who's a certified minister's assistant. He will be the chair. So you can sign in online or downstairs, I believe, or call or email the temple, okay? And the deadline to do that is the day before the seminar, which is Friday, November 10th. And the last thing is a reminder that every Wednesday we have Buddhism 123, which is online, starts online at 7. Anyone is free to join. They answer your questions about Buddhism in general and usually have a topic. But throughout the month of November, the topic will be the Shoshinge, okay, which we recite a lot here. It's free and open to all from 7 to 8:30. And you need to use the login. So as I said, there's several of these in the back to grab so you can know what you're doing, unlike me. Thank you.
Okay, we have some more exciting announcements. The first is that there is a winter clothing drive. So the Dana Group of the Buddhist Temple of San Diego is supporting the Streets of Hope, which is an organization with a vision to give hope to those who live on the streets of San Diego. And we would welcome donations of gently used clothing or new items such as jackets, sweaters, sweatshirts, thick socks to help get the homeless to keep them warm. So please drop them off. And this clothing drive runs through the end of November. Can't believe Wednesday is already November 1st. A reminder that the Junior YBA is holding a holiday food drive until November 19th, and we are accepting non-perishable food donations and monetary donations. And I believe the drop-off is in the dining room. Okay. Another Feeding San Diego, there is a volunteer event that the Dharma School is hosting, and that event is actually next week Saturday, but I don't think it is too late to go to our website to sign up. So please do sign up. I think that they are in need of additional volunteers. Let's see. Reminder, you get to sleep an extra hour on Sunday next week because don't forget to turn your clocks back. This is the fallback one. 1 hour prior to attending temple next Saturday. So it's fall back. Don't forget to reset your clocks on Saturday night. And then finally, please join us for hospitality, which is hosted by the Buddhist Women's Association down in the dining room. Okay, any other announcements?
Reverend Laverne, I have one
Oh,
that I guess I should have submitted earlier. But this is just a reminder that November 12th is our Eitaikyo service, but it is also our Life Forms memorial service. I think the newsletter kind of erroneously said that it's you can submit the names of any living being that has passed in this previous year, but I'd like to say that you can submit the name of any being who you miss. It doesn't have to be someone or something that passed away during just this previous year, because sometimes we think of someone and they come to our mind, and we just like to have that moment to honor them, and we will do so at that service. So you can either call or email the temple with those inputs, or there's some slips down on the office that you can fill out and put in the box there. So thank you very much.
thank you, Thank you, Smitty Sensei. Please join me in Gassho as we close this service. From the teaching of Buddha, a family is a place where a mind lives with other minds. A sangha is a place where a mind lives with other minds. If these minds love each other, the home or the temple will be as beautiful as a flower garden. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Thank you, everybody, for coming to today's service, and have a wonderful day. But please join us for refreshments and ask any questions or just get to know each other. Thank you.